What's up YouTube, Gentry 101 back. So just a little sneak peek as to what we got going on right now before we get further into this cylinder head removal. We have our puller set that's come in for our guide pins for the timing chains, as well as that M24 thread bolt that's needed for our puller as well, and that's to get that actual adjuster gear off of there. I guess it's what holds the chain on there, so that way that'll turn the camshafts. And show you what we got here. Excuse the mess here, but this is that puller set that I ordered, and I'll drop a link in the description here. Here's that M24 that we needed. It's going to be our weighted little slide hammer puller, and I don't know if it's going to be the same for all of them or if it's the same for both sides, but my intake side of my the timing chain guide pin was this actual M6, whereas the exhaust side was this M8. Again, I'm not too sure if that's going to be the same on the driver's side. I've only pulled the passenger side right now. But what have I done to get to where I'm at right now? Well, did have to remove the belt tensioner as well as the oil filter housing, and these are just going to be T45 bolts here. So that's going to be a total of 5 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you're doing this is a 17 millimeter. You want to rotate it. That way you can stick a special tool, or in my case, an Allen wrench inside of there to hold this. Otherwise, you'll never be able to access that one back. Or it might be this side. I'm not really too sure. I'm kind of confused on orientation right now. But these are also T45s. So you'll be able to get those out of the way. That way it'll give us a little bit more access as to everything in here. I don't think I'm gonna have to remove this water pump assembly. Did have to remove this water valve, and I'm assuming, just, you know, based off of some basic knowledge I have, this, you know, heats up and moves water between the two cylinder heads because this pipe goes around. Let's see, what else have we done? Down here, there are, you know, where the catalytic converter actually meets up to the exhaust manifold, there's going to be 2 E12, so that's, you know, those, it's an inverted tool, external torques on the actual bolt. There's going to be 2 E12s. Those actually broke loose really easy. If I'm not mistaken, I mean, the torque spec on those is in between 8 and 12 Newton meters, so you guys shouldn't have any issues actually breaking those free. I was going to try and remove the exhaust manifolds, you know, in car on head without the head out, and some of these are actually rounded off in there, not like you can see what I'm pointing at. So let's do another quick little walkthrough is what we've had to do. Oh, so the tools, I guess I can kind of show you. I will leave the slide hammer over there. So this is the part that holds the gear that's going to sit right here, and then the chain's driven off of that, and the crank, there is this 5 millimeter Allen that sits inside of here. Okay, so you have to remove that 5 millimeter Allen first, and then what you'll do is thread this M24 in here, and then your, you know, slide hammer or puller are all going to be relatively similar, but it's going to thread into that and then just knock it out. This one actually came out really easy. And then here's what I was talking about as far as the exhaust and intake pin being different sizes. So they're different internal diameters as well as different thicknesses, exterior diameters going into the actual timing chain guides. So I did label them just in case. I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about the marking coming off, seeing as there's an obvious difference in size there. So again, that tool, I'll leave that M24 over there, is UNA1468, and again, I'll drop a link as to that, but there's very few websites that I saw that actually has this. I got some generic puller that I was trying to make work, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm not even gonna, you know, name the name brand of that or drop a link for that, because in my specific application, at least for the right side, it was completely useless. So I'm going to figure out a way to get the camera set up, do a time lapse, so that way we can get the passenger side cylinder head removed, because it only looks like the only thing we have to do now is actually remove those cylinder head bolts. And as you can see, it is raining, so try to set up a little funny looking canopy thing there. So all right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. was easy. Not really. This whole process has been, I don't want to say necessarily like super difficult. This engine's relatively easy to work on compared to other engines that are out there. You know, everything is relatively accessible. Relatively accessible, even though it is a big V8 shoehorned into a, you know, it's a relatively large engine bay. But if you look at the amount of space that is actually allowed for everything, you know, kind of doesn't, I don't know, pretty amazing what they did. I'm so glad that I do own and have the privilege of owning one of these, you know, big naturally aspirated V8s. Unfortunately, you know, it is a before 2011, so I have these issues. Looking at this, you know, you guys can, you know, tell me what you think, but I don't know, and I gotta look and do some research, but this is kind of like a RTV or a sealant based, and that might be part of the head gasket, because I mean, you can kind of see it up here towards where the water pump meets up with the front, or I guess the cover meets up with the block. But I mean, to me it looks like some type of RTV silicone, just because, I mean, you can look at the excess that's actually building up in that water jacket. So again, I don't know if somebody's been in here prior. I do know that there's been some loose bolts, some broken bolts here and there. There's not too much carbon buildup actually on here. I mean, there is. And then let's take a look at the actual cylinder head itself. So I have these sitting in here so that way I kind of know where they go back in. But what you have are these 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cylinder head bolts. Release them in kind of an outward to inward crossing pattern. So I believe I started here, here, so forth and so on, and just back and forth. I did already, you know, pre-loosen these two. I did forget about those two until it was too late, but you want to kind of loosen these first. I was getting a slow coolant leak. Can't really tell personally if I had a filled head gasket, because normally what you want to look for is like these jacketed, or where the water and oil jackets will actually go back into the cylinder head, and I don't really see any that bridge over. I mean, I wasn't getting oil into the coolant, and you know, that kind of shows that. So I'm going to assume that our issue is actually with the driver's side cylinder head gasket itself. Again, I mean, because just based off of what I can see, it doesn't really look like I had head gasket failure on the passenger side engine bay. And then same thing looking here. So we can kind of look at, you know, this is our combustion chamber obviously, and then you got your coolant jackets, which I believe are what all of these are. Correct me if I'm wrong. These might be the coolant jackets and these might be the oil ones. But here's what I was talking about, where it looks like somebody's been in here before, because in my opinion, I mean, this just looks really excessive. But again, I don't know, maybe nobody's been in here before, and that's just how that head gasket, you know, once you actually torque it and flatten it out, that's how it's going to be. This part right here is really thick. So what I'm going to do now is start getting prepared to take off the driver's side, which is going to be a little bit more tricky. There is a, let's get this timing cover out of the way, and this power steering reservoir. So this exhaust pipe is right in the way, and I don't have a light shined on it right now, but we're going to get those timing chain guide pins out that we pulled out on this side already over here, and the only way to effectively do that is to be able to get this pipe out. And I mean, even if I unbolt it right here, there's still not going to be enough wiggle room, or at least for me to feel safe, enough wiggle room to bend this and manipulate it. And I don't believe you have to take the power steering reservoir off, and I definitely don't, or power steering pump, excuse me, this is the reservoir over here. But if I do, I guess we'll, you know, see that in the video. Looks like I need to slide this over because I'm starting to get water in over here. So stay tuned for that next video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions or statements about this, again, drop them in the comments. I'm going to put some of the tools that I used today in the comment section below. Thank you again.